Hello, this is Dr. Jenkins, and this is going to be your lab video for our computer dietary analysis lab. For this lab, you're going to be visiting 4 different websites. So you can see we have freedieting.com, calorieking.com, MyFitnessPal, and myplate.gov. Unfortunately, when I imported this into my iPad, it didn't keep the table. So when you look at it, you're going to see, this is a really bad table, you're going to see a table here. So the goal of this lab, you see, is for you to fill out this table. By visiting 4 different websites, you're going to put in your information, age, height, weight, activity level. And each website is going to spit out some recommendations about how many calories a day you need based on the information you put in, and also grams of carbs, fat, and protein. I really prefer that you use yourself for this. If you really feel uncomfortable, you can use somebody else, but I think it's best if you use yourself. If you are taking this and you're under 18, for some of these, for example, I know MyFitnessPal, you have to be at least 18. So even if you're not 18, just go ahead and change your birth year so you are 18. The recommendations they give won't be that different. All right, but before we do that, here's what you're going to have to do. See if I can get this thing to work. There we go. Now, before I go on, why is it beneficial to use 4 different websites? Well, each one you're going to see is going to give you a little bit of a different recommendation. Some will be a little bit higher, some a little bit lower. So by going to 4 different websites, you're going to be able to get a pretty good idea, and we can also eliminate some outliers. So if one website is really high, the others should be a little bit closer together, and it should give us a good ballpark. Now, do these websites know you? Do they know exactly you, your health history, your metabolism? No, of course not, but it gives us a ballpark, folks. So with Fit, for example, usually when I do this, I'm a little bit older than most of you, I'm sure. It usually tells me I need about 2,200 calories per day, based on my age, height, weight, activity level. Yours is going to be different, but does that mean that I absolutely need to eat 2,200 calories each day? No, it's a ballpark. Some days they'll be a little higher, some days they'll be a little bit lower, right? But it's a ballpark, okay? All right, so in order to fill out this table, the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to estimate percentages of carbs, fat, and protein. So look here, this is the end of number 1. We have already put in, you already know from the lecture videos, the acceptable macronutrient distribution ranges. You know this. Let's just review though. Let's go over here. What is the range for carbohydrates? For most people, somewhere between 45 and 65% of their diet should come from carbs. For most people, somewhere between 20 and 35% of their diet should come from carbs. And for most people, somewhere between 15 and 30% of their diet should come from protein. What I'm asking you to do is to pick a number for each. Make sure that your 3 numbers add up to 100. I've given you an example on a previous page, so I'm going to go back. If I was using an endurance athlete, for example, I might pick 57% carbs, 23% fat, and 20. 57, 23, 20. 57, 23, 20. When I do the math, that does add up to 100. Make sure that your numbers are between these ranges. Mine are. But I want it to make sense because you see in number 2, I'm asking you to give an explanation. If I was giving myself an explanation for the above example, I would say, well, an endurance athlete is going to need a lot of energy, fuel, so that's why my carbohydrate percentage is more towards the higher end. An endurance athlete is going to utilize a lot of fat for fuel also, and of course need some protein. But I need you to give me some explanations of why you chose the numbers that make sense. There's not necessarily a right or wrong answer for everyone. I just want to see that it makes sense. After you do that, you have all the information you need to now go to the websites. 4 websites, as I said. Now, at the end of this lab worksheet, you will see some tips. I'm going to scroll ahead. It probably came over a little bit wonky when I imported it into my iPad, but these are some tips, right? They give you the website, freedieting.com. And I even include some pictures. The editing got a little weird. When you see it on your own, you're going to see that for free dieting, you're going to want to go to daily calorie needs. When you click on daily calorie needs, it's going to give you a calorie recommendation. When it does, you want to choose the one for maintenance. Okay? Because even if your goal might be to lose weight or gain weight or whatever, even if you have a goal for this assignment, I want you to put maintenance, because the idea here is that you get a sense of right now, today, how many calories you need. When you go to Calorie King, that's the second one. These first 2, you don't have to create an account. Same with the first one, right? You don't need to make a profile. All these are free. For free dieting and Calorie King, you don't need to make an account. For Calorie King, once you enter in your information, it's going to give you a range. I want you to calculate the middle of that. So I did an example. If this is what the range is that the website gives, I did the top number minus the bottom number. So here in this case, it was a 200 calorie difference. And then I took the bottom, I divided that by 2, 100, and then I added that to the bottom number. So use the examples. For MyFitnessPal, you will have to create an account. So you have to create a username and password. For this one, you're going to click on goals. Okay? So please use the tips at the end to help you. Okay. Now, some of the websites, in fact, most of the websites, you're going to have to do some extra calculations yourself. That's true for free dieting, Calorie King, and myplate.gov. MyFitnessPal is going to give you everything you need. MyFitnessPal is going to give you your daily calorie recommendation and also the total number in grams of carbohydrates, fat, and protein. But the other 3 will only give you the calorie recommendation. So you're going to have to do some math, but this is basically just division, multiplication. You can totally do it. I'm going to give you an example, okay? Let's say that free dieting gave me a daily calorie recommendation amount of 2,200. So you'll write there whatever number that website recommended for you. So right now, let's just say free dieting gave me 2,200. You're going to have to input the percentages you came up with. So what did I say up in number 1 for myself? I said 57% carbs, 23% fat, and 20% protein. As a matter of fact, I can add these 57, 23, because it's going to be the same for all of them, the percentages. So you're writing in whatever percentages you chose for yourself that add up to 100. Once I do that, now I just go from left to right and I do the math. So 57 divided by 100, if I just move the decimal point over 2, it's 0.57. 23 divided by 100 is 0.23. I'm going to multiply that by the total calories recommended. What did free dieting recommend? Because that's the one we're on. 2,200. So we just go from left to right. So 0.57 times 2,200, and that's going to give me 1,254. But I'm not done yet. I'm going to take that number and divide by 4. Then I get 313.5 grams of carbohydrate. Makes sense. We divide by 4 for carbs and fat, because for every 1 gram of carbohydrates and fat that we metabolize, we get 4 kilocalories of energy. But for fat, we're going to divide by 9. Let me just go through the example. So I have 0.23 multiplied by 2,200, and that gives me 506, and I'm going to divide that by 9. And these numbers should make sense. If you get like 32,520, that's obviously not correct. So these numbers should make sense. Lastly, for protein, 20 divided by 100 is 0.20. I'm still on the first free dieting, and let's just say it recommended 2,200 calories. So now I'm going to do 0.2 multiplied by 2,200, and that gives me 440 divided by 4, 110. Perfectly makes sense. So as you go through these, then you're going to enter those into that beginning table. So for free dieting, I would input free dieting, 2,200 calories. What did I calculate? 331 grams of carbs. How many grams of fat? 56. How many grams of protein? 110. So 56, 110. And you'll repeat for the remaining 3 websites, okay? After you've gone to all 4 websites, I want you to find the averages. So for example, total calories, you would add whatever free dieting said, plus Calorie King, plus MyFitnessPal, plus my plate, and then divide by the total possible, which is 4. So you're going to add up from left to right, divide by 4 to get the average. This way, we're going to eliminate the outliers and get a ballpark. All right. And then once you're done filling out the chart, there's some questions for you to answer. Number 4, 5, and 6. And don't forget, there are some tips here to navigate. I just did this, so it should still, unless the website's changed between today and when you get this lab, but it should be okay. All right, good luck, folks. If you have any questions, let me know.